guess what we're doing today? We are trying more matcha. Because what else did you expect? We have 3 different blends from Tea Master. We have their seihou blend, their hoshinotsuyu blend, and their yamenohana blend. And I believe they have 1 more blend or 2 more, I'm not too sure, but I picked out 3 of them in different price ranges. So I wanted to see how they compare to each other and how they taste. And hopefully by the end of this, I will have added a new favorite matcha brand to my ongoing collection. So I first heard about this brand or this place in college back in like 2018, 2017. Because Little Tokyo was a place that me and my friends would go to all the time because we loved Asian food. So Tea Master is in Little Tokyo, but I never got the opportunity to try them out. But I knew that they had really good matcha because even back then, people were raving about the matcha products because I think they have like matcha ice cream, matcha lattes, and other things. So now that I feel like I'm a little bit more advanced in my matcha tasting and matcha preferences, I decided to splurge a little bit and buy some of their powders. Okay, let's start with the cheapest one that I have. This is the yamenohana blend. And I also filmed for Instagram and TikTok, so I will insert some clips of me trying these matcha powders without any milk because I know some people may prefer to drink it that way. I don't. I always drink my matchas in a matcha latte form, which is why you'll see me tasting it that way because that's the way that I'm going to drink it and that's the way that I'm going to enjoy it. So I want to pick the best matcha powders that taste good with milk. But I know not all of you guys do that, and some may like to drink matcha just with water over ice or hot, whatever you prefer. Okay, let's try it. It tastes like matcha ice cream. That's what it tastes like. Yeah, that's so good. This one is so nice. Like it's so much better than a lot of other brands that I've tried. There is like a slight astringency to the taste, and there's like a little bit of like a mouthfeel after. I think like with the milk, it definitely tastes more like a matcha ice cream. Like it's pretty creamy, I would say. I also kind of get like a slightly roasted like aftertaste, almost a little bit nutty, but like still really creamy and still smooth. I do also have like a little bit of like the mouthfeel where the matcha is kind of like sitting on my tongue and it doesn't really like cascade so smoothly. But other than that, this is a really good matcha. This yamenohana one comes in at $32 for 40 grams, which I think is a pretty good price for 40 grams. I know that a lot of other ones are more expensive, so this one could be a perfect one for those of you trying to start with matcha and get into it before heading over to like bolder flavors. This would be a good start. And on to the next one. This one is the middle price one. This is the hoshinotsuyu blend. This is what it looks like. This one already has so much more flavor than the yamenohana one. I can tell that it's a lot bolder in flavor of like the matcha flavor wise because the other one was a little bit tame. I wouldn't say that you would get a lot of like that strong matcha flavor. It's more like subtle, which is why I think it'd be a really good blend if you want to start with lattes. This blend is like a step above the yamenohana one where it's like slightly bolder and you can definitely taste the difference, but it's not to the point where it's like overpowering. This is like the perfect amount of matcha. It is more on the savory side with a little bit more of like that astringency. I can taste it on my tongue. It does have a little bit of like bitterness and it is more on the vegetal side. I'm personally also not a like savory matcha girl typically, but this one I could definitely see myself drinking a lot of because it's very mellow. It's like a good balance of like being savory but also being kind of like creamy-ish, like with the oat milk. So this hoshinotsuyu blend goes for $38 for 40 grams of matcha. So it's actually not too bad, like of a price difference between the yamenohana and then this one. So you're gonna pay a little bit more, but if you really want more matcha, like you want to be tasting a lot more of depth of the flavor, I would suggest getting this blend, the hoshinosuyu. All right, and now on to the most expensive matcha out of the three that I bought. This is the seihou blend. Wow, that one is really nice. I feel like this is a well-balanced matcha because sometimes you can definitely tell in other powders like what notes stick out. Like in the previous one, I could definitely tell that it's more savory and more vegetal, whereas this one, you kind of can't tell, but in the best way possible because all of, I guess, the elements of the matcha powder just work so well together to create like this well-balanced matcha taste where it's like beautifully smooth, like there is no bitterness, there's no like astringent like a mouthfeel like left over, like it's really smooth, it just cascades. Like the whole like tasting experience after that sip is like, it's so smooth. Like it stays smooth consistently. Like sometimes it can start really smooth but then like end bitter, but this one, the taste just consistently stays smooth until like the taste like wears off. So this one is the seihou blend. This is the seihou blend, and this is the most expensive one out of the three that I got. This one is $52 for 40 grams of matcha. So it definitely is on the pricier side, but with pricier matchas, typically you do get better quality. Now that I tried all three of those, here are my final thoughts. Wow, this is actually really hard to pick. Okay, the one that I liked the most was probably the seihou because it was perfect. That's my review. It was perfect. But it really was. Like, for me, I love like a well-balanced matcha, and I love that it's just consistent. Like it's consistent in the entire like tasting journey that you're like kind of going on, and there's no bitterness, there's no like astringency or like weird mouthfeel left on your tongue. And I can see this just being something that I don't have to sweeten. I feel like this is the ultimate test for me if a matcha is good, is if I can just drink it without having to add any sweetener to it. Like it's just doing the job itself of being a really good matcha powder and tasting amazing as it is. The one that I didn't like the most, I actually don't have one. I enjoyed all of them, like a lot. But maybe the one I wouldn't see myself getting again is probably the hoshinotsuyu, which was the middle priced one. And only because I'm not a astringent, like savory profile liker. For recommendations, if you are thinking about purchasing a powder from Tea Master, I would recommend the yamenohana blend because I think it's such a good matcha powder and it's pretty affordable, or the most affordable from their line at $32. And I think it's a really good base, especially if you're just getting into matcha and you don't love the flavor too much to be spending, you know, the $52 matcha. I think this is a good place to start. It's very smooth. It's such good quality, and I don't think you could go wrong with it. But if you are, you know, more advanced and you do want like that experience that I just had with this matcha, then I would suggest the seihou blend. That one is the more expensive option, but you know, if you're willing to splurge or just like, you know, decide to buy a really expensive one, I would consider buying this one because I think it's a really good matcha. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. As always, leave any matcha recommendations or matcha brands that you would want me to do a review of. I will gladly do it. I will spend the money so you don't have to, and I will always be honest. Always be honest about the taste and how much I like it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!